Welcome, my friends and fellows. I'm CJ Miller. I'm in my apartment at the dining table in Shreveport, Louisiana, downtown. Across the Red River is beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. As always, please do come check us out. Come visit. So, um, I'm here with my meal. I have my calorie count start over. I should say my carbs and everything. My whole day resets at 12 a.m. midnight. And so here we are. Uh, I am doing keto diet. It's what works mostly for me. Oh, hang on, I've got a little alarm going off over there. Though I've got a wonderful internal clock as far as like timing for like 5 minutes or 20 minutes or something like that. Usually, any time of the day, someone can randomly ask me something. What time is it? And I will ramble off some sort of time based on how I feel. And I'm usually within 10, 15 minutes of the actual correct time. Uh, but I'm usually pretty spot on. Like it's about 2:30, and it's usually about 2:28 or something like that. I've got that. I don't know. I'm in sync with that. Uh, I think it has to do with when I was younger, much younger. Uh, I worked in a salon, and everything we did was timed, very time sensitive, working with those chemicals. And then later on, you get a sense of rhythm when you work in a kitchen. So now I'm going to talk about onions. Uh, from my perspective, when I was very young, even into early adulthood, I just did not care for onions. I knew that powdered onions and stuff. I knew they found their way into stuff, but I just didn't like onions like this. If it wasn't like a part of a powdered mix or something like that, I couldn't deal with it. Uh, you know. Oh, and it was horrible being a picky eater. If you're a picky eater, maybe you know what it's like to have people try to like spike your food with other foods that you don't like. Somebody was always trying to slip a bean into my mashed potato, or uh, crumbling up crumbling up some onion with the hamburger or something, or whatever. It was just it was horrible. It left me with like a sense of, wow, I don't like to eat other people's food if I don't know how they're going to prepare it or something. And for a long time, it was like that. And then I started working with other foods, other in the kitchen. I started, as my work, and you get a sense of, wow, I'm around all these aromas. And so you kind of get desensitized. Just a editorial like me, I got desensitized to some of the foods that I didn't really care for. Um, I have weird rules as far as uh, uh, aromatics are concerned. I can deal with them. And other vegetables I can have if they're raw. I don't like them cooked. Like I don't see. I don't really care for a cooked carrot unless it's like maybe in a carrot cake or carrot souffle or something like that. But most of the time, if I have a carrot, it's a raw carrot. You know, um, onions, I can have them like this. I can have them with steak. I just cannot have them on a burger. I can't have them on a sandwich. You know, that's my sandwich is so weird. I've got weird sandwich rules, and yeah. Um, so it probably like perturbs people who used to know me when I didn't care for. I would like have like a rage if you tried to slip me an onion. I felt like you were trying to slip me a Mickey. You know what I mean? It's like, it's my body, it's my choice. I choose what goes into it. That kind of thing. I get it. Uh, if you're if you're a feminist and you're advocating that kind of control over your body, I get it, because as a picky eater, I just, yeah, people tried to take my control away all the time. It was relentless. But now I eat onions, and so it's okay. But I always try to be careful with people when I have them over. I try to be a little cautious with their likes or dislikes, and I try to, if there's gonna be something that in the main meal that they don't care for, and then I do try to have an alternative, and that's just being a good host. Uh, it would be different if people were like over all the time, then it would be like, you're going to eat what I eat if you want to eat it, or, but when I'm having guests over, I really try to make the guests feel at home. So the other day I did have people over. Now this is one of the lamb chops. I didn't really do a tasting on this, I don't think. I talked about food and presentation and everything. The lamb chop. Now I started out with onion, bacon, and my flavorings, and I think a teriyaki base. So this is just one of the chops. I had 6 left, and I reserved them, and I'll have them throughout the day. And this is flounder. What I did was I took this flounder fillet of flounder, uh, laid it out on a cookie sheet, lightly oiled so to prevent sticking. Took Parmesan crumbles to the top of it, and then some purple onion. Because onion, by the way, is very aromatic and is really wonderful. Even if you don't eat the onion, it puts a really good flavor into the meat of the fish. And then the very powerhouse flavor here, this is a blue cheese, and both of these have an under flavor of a little bit of sodium, a little bit of saltiness to them. So no table salt is required with the meal like this. And for the garnish on the plate, just speckles of the sauce. I basically dipped the spoon and just kind of shook it over the plate for the sauce of the lamb chop. And this is oregano and blue cheese, kind of tossed around and set on the plate. Now I'm gonna pause the video. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna have some. Actually, I think I'm just gonna taste the fish first. The flounder, any kind of fish, white fish fillet works like this. If it's maybe you could do. I put mine in the oven, preheating. I set the preheat to 375, but I didn't wait for the oven to preheat. The moment I set it and turned the oven on, then I set my pan of fish into the oven, and I left it for 20 minutes. And I found by that time, it's that 15-minute, typical 15 minutes of fish, of a white fish. But if it needs a little bit more, it's for me that works, and it's a great. Oh, that is so clean, and that is so delicious. And there's that little bit of a bite from an onion. See, an onion, the longer you cook it, the sweeter it gets. When you bake it like this, you have a little bit of it. You can get some sweetness out of it, sure, but you're not going to lose, particularly here, the pepper, the bit of a bite, that spice that gets with an onion. And that onion is going to be a nice segue over here. And that's where I'm going to cut and come next. Now these were done in a teriyaki sauce and on very low, medium, between low and medium, towards the lower side. And I let them kind of stew in that sauce stovetop, and it was great. And then I reserved them, and then today all I really needed to do was take the reserve from the container and pour it back into a pot on the stove and just get it to bring the sauce up to a boil, and then I just took it off, and it's great. This lamb is so tender. I bet I could pull it away. Here, yeah, just with the fork. Somebody asked me the other day, one of the guests, could they have a fork? And I was like, well, you could pick it up and use your fingers if you want. But look how this pulls away with the fork. You just you can't get this kind of tenderness from another type of meat. You know, maybe you can, but I just love. Maybe I'm trying to sell it too hard, but I love a good lamb chop. This is a shoulder chop, from the shoulder of the lamb. It's not the stand-up rack of lamb. Mm. So, mm, if your guests feel comfortable with the knife, let them have a knife. This is wonderful. And then what you want to do, every once in a while, just for the heck of it, grab a bit of blue cheese. So in the pot, I started with marinating onion, part of this particular onion, by the way. It's literally the same onion, chopped a lot of it off, and then put bacon crumbles in the skillet and cut up bacon chops or whatever, and got it cooked, got it right where I needed to go. And then it was kind of like those onions and bacon were kind of the basis of the whole meal. They turned up at everything from the potatoes to just I don't know. It was great. And of course, it was only a few of us, three of us over here. But I still like to make sure that my guests get full. And yeah, it was Easter, as a matter of fact, when they were over. It was a late Easter dinner. That's why the lamb. So anyway, when I have guests over, I like to make sure that they don't leave hungry. If they leave hungry, it's their own fault. It's one thing to have people over, say, come for a cup of coffee and maybe serve a little crumb cake or something like that, whatever, and it's not a full-on meal. But if you do invite people over for dinner for a meal, they should not be hungry when they leave. Especially not in the American South. I told this story before. We had some time ago, I was living with someone, and he had some rather prominent people in the neighborhood over. He ran in those circles, and they came over and they did really luscious, huge crab cakes, and he made them by hand. He put a lot of work into it. I will say that. Wonderful, wonderful. But the thing is, he served it as a main, and some of the people, they were like, well, is there more? I mean, they were just wondering, hey, what, is it, and, he, bless his heart, he's not from Louisiana. When you have people come over to your house in Louisiana, in the American South, you feed them. If you bring them over for dinner, you just hook them up. You let them have as much as their little stomachs can stand, and typically, fish can be a main course, but usually it's a pre-course in some situations, unless it's a fried fish or a heavy fish like a salmon or whatever. But yeah, I like to do, if people come over, I like to have a little amuse-bouche, some hors d'oeuvres or something like that. And then I like to have a pre-course. It's usually a fish or a chicken or something. And then I like to have the main course. And then, of course, on the side of the main course, I also like to have an alternative that people can also have with it. But maybe I would serve beef with pork sausage along the side of it or something like that. Just to just to ensure that there's, for one thing, enough to go around, and then also that people can have a little bit of something that they want. And then, of course, depending upon the company, maybe I'll have dessert. I don't eat dessert a lot, so I don't typically make dessert. And then I do like to invite people when I'm doing something like that to bring a to-go container. I did have to stop sending my to-go containers away because it was like they weren't finding their way back. And it's not that I care about that. It's just that if buying the to-go containers, relatively expensive. So go get your Gladware or whatever from the dollar store if you're coming over and bring it with you. There's usually some leftovers and enough to take home, and I love to do that. I love to feed people, and I'm gonna eat leftovers the next day. Why shouldn't you? But bring your own to go. Uh, anyway, God, this is a good meal, and I eat small portions like this when I'm on this keto diet, and that really and to eat slow, to chew a lot and eat slow. But yeah. Instead of scarfing the food in a rush world, I realized when I was younger, I was always on the go. It's how fast can I eat this food and get back at what I have to do? And there's a lot to be said for sitting down. Now, usually when if it's a casual gathering, we'll sit around and start watching a movie or something like that. Holidays, we're a little bit more sit around the table kind of thing. This Easter, it was just a few of us, so we just watched a movie, but we still, there's an art to sitting down and dining and visiting and talking with people. There's a certain reverence. The same group of people you will sit around the room in your chairs and BS with, there will come a change, a slight reverence that'll come over that same group of people when they sit around a table. The ritual of it, I don't know. It's just like, wow, so give that a shot. If you have people come over sometimes, and yes, be casual and stuff like that. But if you really want to see something interesting, these same group of people that you maybe don't always sit around the table with, sit around the table with them and watch it. And what that is, it's not a nervousness or anything like that. What it is a respect for the event that's happening, which is an actual, dinner around a table that people don't always get at home. That experience where they eat together at the same time. When people get older, even teens or whatever, it's like, catch as catch can, grab it, run, or whatever. So yeah, we can do stuff for our family and friends when they come to our home. Sometimes we can invite them to sit down and give them a really, really good experience. Maybe some soft music or something. But yeah, it's fine. I want people to feel comfortable when they come over too. So a lot of times we'll sit around and we'll, but certainly at holidays we're gonna sit around this table. Okay. Bon appetit, love and light. God bless. Good night.